Welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast with me, Hiram Roche. This podcast, we encourage fathers, husbands, believers, and entrepreneurs to be able to walk into their God-given potential. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast. I am your host, Hiram Roche, also known as HR. And as always, it is truly an honor to be here with you, my Greatness Tribe. Hey, listen, we have been on a journey of conversation, specifically talking about what we're going to do, which is part 2 of a conversation we had on last week. If you were not here, if you did not listen to it, make sure you go back and listen to part 1 of this so that it can make full understanding or full sense of whatever you're about to hear on tonight or what you're about to hear on tonight. So we're going to continue this conversation. We've been in Deuteronomy chapter 10. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 1 through 5 is what we've been reading. And so I'm going to go ahead and read this so we can dive right in and be able to finish up this conversation in for this chapter context. So Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 1 through 5, this is what it says. It says, "At that time the Lord said unto me, hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and come up unto me into the mount, and make thee an ark of wood. And I will write on the tables the words that were in the first tables which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark. And I made an ark of shittim wood, and hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and went up into the mount, having the 2 tables in mine hand. And he wrote on the tables, according to the first writing, the 10 commandments which the Lord spake unto you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of assembly. And the Lord gave them unto me. And I turned myself and came down from the mount and put the tables in the ark which I had made, and there they be as the Lord commanded me." Now, we started this conversation talking about really the first few verses of scripture, and it was really allowing us to be able to understand that God was telling unto all of us that he wanted us to try again. Now, that is to try and go back after a dream that you had, a goal that you had, something that you were going after that for whatever purpose and reason you stopped. You stopped doing it, you stopped going after it, you quit for whatever reason of why you did, you had something you were chasing, something God instructed you to do. And for whatever reason, life, situations, circumstances, we stopped. And God is saying, every journey begins with a single step. But what if you knew exactly where that journey was meant to end? I wrote the book for people like you, people that have dreams, people that have goals, people that want to walk in their own business, create their own legacy, but just don't know where to start. This book is a handbook. It's a bunch of tools that gives you the steps that you'll need to be able to walk into the destiny, the dream, the life that you desire and should have for you. And start with the finish in mind. You'll discover how to redefine your purpose, build on actionable roadmap, and stay focused on the outcome that truly matters. With practical advice, real life stories, and a faith-driven approach, Start with the Finish in Mind will equip you to set clear, purpose-filled objectives, navigate challenges with resilience, and build a legacy that you'll be proud of. Start with the Finish in Mind by Hiram Roche, your guide to purposeful living and lasting success. Unto all of us, try again. But now we went from there because what we want to be able to do is make sure that when we try this time, when we go after it this time, that we're going after it with a different context. And one of the contexts that we want to go after it with is this time we want to make sure that it's secure. We want to make sure that the place that we're placing our dreams, our goals, the thing that God has assigned us to do is in a specific setting, is in a specific set, is in a secure place where it cannot be easily moved like it was before. And so on part 1, we hit 2 points, and I'm going to hit the last 2 points on tonight. But the first 2 points that we hit was to protect and his presence. Those were the first two. Again, it was to protect it. We're talking about your dreams, your goals, the assignment that God has on your life. That we need to be able to protect it, and we need to be able to be in the presence of God, be in God's presence. Now, we utilize this concept based upon the scripture. When the scripture allows us to be able to see what we just read in Deuteronomy chapter 10, what we see is God communicating to a man by the name of Moses. Moses is delivering the children of Israel, taking them to the promised land. And in the midst of him going, there was a season of where God had instructed or asked him to come up into the mountain and spend some time with him. And God gave unto him what we know as the 10 Commandments. Out of that time period, the children of Israel were doing some things on the ground. They were doing some stuff that they really wasn't supposed to be doing. And the scripture says that when Moses was coming back down with the 10 Commandments in his hand, he sees what the people are doing. And in his frustration or his anger or whatever context of things we want to be able to utilize, the scripture says he takes the tablets and throws them on the ground and breaks them. Now, after some time, God now is telling Moses, look, I know we're getting close to be able to get my people into the promised land, but I need them to be able to have this 10 Commandments. They need these laws that will help to govern where they're about to go. And so God understood the importance of what the 10 Commandments carries, just like he understands the importance of our dreams, of our goals, of the things that we're supposed to be going after and accomplishing. And so what God instructed Moses to do is, Moses, I need you to, one, bring me some tablets. Bring me some tablets, and I'm going to restore the time. I'm going to write it out myself. But I also need you to do something else. What did he tell him to do? Let's go back to verses 1. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 1, so we can understand what he's telling him to do and what he's telling us to do. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 1, this is what it says. It says, at that time the Lord said unto me, hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and come up unto me into the mount, and make thee an ark of wood, and I will write on the tablets the words that were in the first tables which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark. God said, listen, this time I need you to create something that will be a secure place for this tablet, for what I'm about to do, for what I'm calling you to do, for what you're about to walk into. I need you to create something that will be a secure place for this, and I'm going to restore the time by writing it out myself. I'm going to do my part in this, in restoring, in having the restoration of the time, being able to make up the time that has been lost. I'm going to do my part, but I need you to place it in something that will secure it. Now, when we talk about this ark, the Ark of the Covenant is something that not only did the 10 Commandments sit in, but it was some other items that sat in it as a reminder of the presence and the promises of God. And in this Ark of the Covenant, the ark set in a specific place. It's set in what we would call the tent of meetings, the holies of holies. It was in a place where only a certain amount of people could be able to get access to. It was a very small amount of people. So not only was it secure, not only was what the 10 Commandments was secure in something, but it also was in a specific place. It's set in the presence of God. So on last week, when we talked about the first 2 points, we talked about, again, point 1 being the protection. It has to be in a place where it is protected. We have to protect what God has given unto us. But then we dealt with the second thing, which is God's presence. We need to make sure that God is the center and the foundation of everything that we do. But now I want to be able to deal with part 3, or point 3. Point 3 is we have to make sure that we're dealing with this. This is how we keep it secure, is we have to deal with the gift, the dream, properly. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by we have to deal with it properly? We have to deal with the dream, We have to deal with the goal. We have to deal with the assignment. We have to deal with it according to the obedience in the instructions God gave. I'm going to pause for that one. However God said, I need you to do it, that's how we got to do it. However he said, I need you to accomplish this, that's the exact way that we have to go about accomplishing this. We cannot do it in our own way. We cannot do it in our own form of how we think it should be done. Because here's the thing, the way that we did it the first time is probably how we thought it should have been done. But now he's saying, I need you to try it again, but I need you to place it in security. And the place of security that I'm going to have you place it in is obedience. I need you to do this, handle this properly by being obedient in the instructions that I give you for how you're going to do your goals, how you're going to go about the dreams that you have, the vision that you got, the assignment that's on your life, whatever that is, how you walk in this is going to be vitally important. But the way that we are able to secure this is we have to be able to properly be obedient to the instructions that God has given unto us. Now, let's move into this because I believe it's vitally important for us to understand this. When we look at being obedient, right, to the instructions, there is how we handle it. There's certain ways that God instructed the children of Israel or the priest of that time how they would handle the Ark of the Covenant. So everybody, one, couldn't touch it, which we're going to deal with that in a minute, but everybody couldn't touch it. But the ones that were responsible for being able to carry it, they had to carry it a certain way. Now, some of us probably know this context of scripture where there is the Ark of the Covenant has now been rescued from the Philistines. It has been taken away from the Philistines. And now that it's being taken away from the Philistines, it was at a certain time period, it was left at a certain man's house. And because the presence of God was there, the favor of God was there. And it got to a point where now David, King David, now wants the Ark of the Covenant back in its place, which it should have been in the tabernacle, in the tent of meetings, in this place where God would be able to meet with his people. And they're putting this on and they're carrying it to take it from this man's house to the castle, to David's kingdom. Right? And while they are carrying it, they kind of hit some bumpy roads. And the scripture says that it looked like as if the ark was about to fall off of the place that they had it. They were carrying it on. And the scripture says there was a man that had a good idea. And the good idea that he had was to try to catch the ark so that it wouldn't fall. And the scripture says that as soon as he touched it, he died. Now, on why do I bring this context up? Because there was rules, there was certain instructions that God has already given unto the priest on how to handle the Ark of the Covenant. So when it comes to the same context, God gives unto us instructions on how to handle your gift, how to walk in your goals, how to be able to choose the things and the environments and all the things that will go into making sure that you're walking in, how you do your steps, your day-to-day walking and functioning. He gives unto us all of these instructions. Only thing he's asking us to do is make sure that you obey. Just be obedient in the instruction. Now, the next one, I believe, is vitally important. It's so important. And this is something I feel like a lot of people deal with when it comes in reference to their dreams, when it comes in reference to their goals, when it comes in reference to their assignment. Here is the last point that we're going to deal with. Here's the last point we're dealing with. The last point that we're dealing with is we have to make sure that it is secure from people. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Remember, I just shared with you the storyline of the man that touched the ark And because he touched it in a way that was not a part of the instructions, it was not a part of the way of that God had already set it up for it to happen. The scripture says that because he touched it, as soon as he touched it, he died. What is that teaching us, though? This is what it's teaching us. Everybody's hand should not be on your goals. Everybody should not be a part of your dream. Everybody should not be touching your vision. Every hand should not be touching the assignment that God has on your life. There are people that God has assigned to be able to help you with your goals, to help you with your dreams, to help you with your assignment. We have to be able to make sure that we are so in line and in tune, because God is, the presence of God is the foundation and the center of everything that we do. And because of that, it helps us to make sure that we stay in the position where we are discerning enough to understand who is not supposed to touch this gift. Who is not supposed to be able to touch my goals or my dreams or my vision? There are only a certain amount of people that the scripture allows us to be able to see that even had access to be able to get to a place where they can be able to get close enough to the ark. It was called, again, the holies of holies, meaning it was only a certain amount of people. It was a priest, one person at a time. It wasn't a crowd of people in here touching the ark, being in the presence of the ark. No, there was a criteria of the people that could come that close. Now, there are people in our journey that have been along with us in our journey, but everybody around you don't mean, just because everybody that is around you, don't mean that all of those people get access to your dream. All of those people get access to your vision. It doesn't mean that all of those people get access to your goals. No, just because they're around don't mean that they have access to that thing. They might not be the ones that God is instructing you to allow to be able to touch, to speak into, to pour into. Just because they're around don't mean they can touch it. Here's the other context. Just because they're around don't mean they're for it either. So we have to understand that there are people that God aligns and puts in our lives specifically for our dreams, specifically for our goals, specifically for the vision that he has on our life, the assignment that he has for us. But we have to make sure that we are keeping the goal, the dream, the gift, the vision, the assignment. We have to make sure that it is secure. It's not just open for anybody to be able to touch, because it's vitally important that in the season of you walking this out again, you going after this thing again, you being able to chase after and try this again, is vitally important that you make sure, let's hit these four, that you make sure that you protect it, that you make sure that you stay in the presence of God, that you make sure that you deal with it properly, and you make sure that you have the right people around it. Listen, I didn't want to be before you long tonight, but I wanted to make sure that we are ready for what we're about to walk into. And that when we walk into it and when we go after it this time, that we're making sure that we got the gift, we got the dream, we got the vision, we got the goal, we got the thing. But now we have to make sure that we keep it secure. I love you all, family. Let's walk on our dreams. Let's grow and do this thing together. I love you all. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.